We've got an update on Davante Adams and who will replace him in the Rams offense. Also, Joe Burrow, a Los Angeles Ram. We'll talk about the future of the Rams quarterback position and how that changed in the last 48 hours. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you hear podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't yet, by the way, do us a huge favor. Join the party. Subscribe to the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Getting close to 21,000. Trying to get a 30K before the Super Bowl. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you want to support every episode, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Podcast listeners, write us a review or read on the show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleach Report, SI, Dodgers Nation, the LA Sports Report. And as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's in his 11th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, got a little update on Davante Adams. We'll talk about who can replace him in theory as far as what he does in the offense, not as far as the production. We'll give you some winners and losers from Week 15. And we're going to tell you why the quarterback plan in the future has changed. And also, we're already looking ahead to the Seahawks game. We're already previewing that game a little bit. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, Travis. So the big story in Ramsland, of course, is Davante Adams' hamstring. And yeah, on the squad show, I said, hey, take my hamstring, Davante. And then people in the comments said, D-Mac, if Davante had your hamstrings, he wouldn't last one play. So, I mean, I'm offended by that. But Sean McVay did say yesterday he's as tough as it gets, Davante Adams, and, quote, I want to see what it looks like with the time we have. And I think there's a couple things to this. One, a little gamesmanship, right? You want to kind of kick the can down the road as long as you possibly can as far as giving the Seahawks something to prepare for. And, of course, I don't think it's going to change that much. But this is kind of what the Rams do and typically what Sean McVay does when it comes to injuries. But as far as insiders, you've heard multiple people, whether it be Ian Rappaport and guys around the league saying if they had to guess that he'd be done for the remainder of the regular season. If the Rams get the bye, it would definitely help get him as healthy as possible. But at least right now, the feeling is that he probably will not be ready and available on Thursday night against the Seahawks.
Yeah, you're not going to see him Thursday. You're not going to see him Monday, and you're not going to see him the final Saturday or Sunday of the season. We're trying to figure, Rams in the cards that last week. We don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. Hopefully you see him in the playoffs. That's the next time that you may see Davante Adams because, I know we're going to get into this. If they win on Thursday, then everything is perfect because he gets literally 4 weeks off without having to do anything. You hope that thing heals to the best you can, and you get the best version of Davante Adams for the postseason. If they lose on Thursday, you're going into the wild card probably for sure anyway. So let's leave Davante Adams where he is and get him healthy for the playoffs. So either way, it's going to be about a month before you see him again, almost assuredly. Now, never say never. I don't think they're ever going to come out for the reasons that you said and say he's not playing, but we all saw what happened, right? We've all seen that injury before where a guy like Adams is running and just pulls up all of a sudden, and we know what it is. We know how long that typically takes to heal. And, the good news is the Rams have lots of weapons. The bad news is that might be their best one, and they're going to go into that Seattle game and hopefully not the playoffs, but they're going to play their final 3 games of the season almost for sure without Davante Adams.
That is definitely, I think, the feeling. I think, we saw you on your show with DeMarco and Travis yesterday. It feels like this is not only the right decision for the Rams, but the right decision for for basically Davante Adams as well. Because, I mean, if you're the worst thing you could have is just force him to play and then have zero chance that he's going to be available in the playoffs. So I think if I had to choose between the two, force him to play, and you're not going to get 100% version of Davante Adams anyway, right? It's not like you're going to get prime Davante Adams. I'm sure that he could be valuable in the red zone like he always is. But, I mean, he was running some big-time vertical routes, some go balls, some nines, and people were saying, oh, why is he doing that? The truth is, if guys are on the field, they're going to go at 100%. I mean, you can't have guys out there just running limited routes, especially in a game that you need to win. So, I mean, that's very Monday morning quarterback too.
Yeah, especially, at that position. If you had, like, let's just in an alternate universe, if Matthew Stafford had a hamstring injury, could he go? Yeah, he could, because he takes the snap and he stands there and he surveys the field and he delivers the foot. Davante Adams is running on every single play. And like you said, if he's out there, he's going to try to go as hard and as aggressively as he can. So this really isn't much of a decision at all. This is a no-brainer. And I guess if there's a silver lining to this, Doug, it's that the Rams punched their ticket to go to the postseason with the win against the Lions. So you don't have to. We have to win this game. You don't. You could. They're not going to. But theoretically, they could lose their final 3 games of the season. They're going to the playoffs. So they have the luxury of putting him on ice, literally and metaphorically, for the next month or so before you have to try to go in there and you're in an elimination situation. So this is an easy decision. I think it's the right decision. And I'm at this point, I'm just hopeful that when he does come back, whether that's a wild card weekend, whether that's the divisional weekend, if they in fact get that bye, that he's Davante Adams and not a guy running around out there on one leg. Because I know he's going to give it a go. I know he's going to try to do it. But if he's not at the best version of himself, that certainly isn't ideal.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic point. The fact that they did clinch a playoff spot at the very least, because if they lose that game and he's injured, then you're kind of a little bit in panic mode. You're just kind of wondering, oh man, we don't play him, or we get in the playoff, and there's just kind of all the doomsday scenarios, and they're certainly not doing that. He's a big Taco Bell guy. He's like obsessed with Taco Bell. Why do I feel if you just like poured Baja Blast all over his hamstring, it would immediately have healing powers? Or if he had like 40 ounces of it, I mean, come on, like mainline
it would probably strip the finish off of the floor wherever it pooled underneath it, and you'd have to refinish his entire home. That stuff has some interesting properties, I'm sure.
Blast, man. But never fear.
Very natural looking product. That color is something you see in nature all the time.
It's the color for me. It's a clean little electric blue, whatever the heck it is. But maybe when they make Baja Blast Zero, I'll jump in. I can't do the full blown, But Mike LaFleur, Rams offensive coordinator, he is singing the praise of Konate Mumfield. And Mumfield has secretly emerged as the Rams' number 3 receiver. I mean, I think you look at their offense, you're going to see a lot of tight ends get involved. You're going to see Puka Nacua and Davante Adams getting a lion's share of the targets from Matthew Stafford. But Mumfield, he's played between 38 and 45% of the snaps in his last 4 games. And the production hasn't been eye-popping. I mean, 5 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. But when he's been on the field and he's gotten that valuable experience, I think that they're not going to be caught necessarily in a situation where they're throwing someone out there that has zero experience or doesn't understand the offense. And LaFleur said that he's always absorbing the little nuances of the position, playing behind 2 great receivers. And I mean, that is a testament to this organization's culture, right? I mean, even if you're not getting the targets, you're ready to go, and it's this next man up mentality. So he's going to be at the X. He's going to be on the outside. And one of the reasons why the Rams picked him up was he was a great route runner at Pitt. And of course, to think that he's going to be Davante Adams as getting in and out of his breaks or route runner is unrealistic. But hey, if you could have a guy on your team that can at least allow the offense to run like it should, Mumfield could be that guy. And you could also see some wide receiver by committee too. I mean, Tutu Atwell, getting a lot of love in the comments about Tutu being available and things like that. But what I want to see is a big game from Terrence Ferguson. I want to see a big game from Colby Parkinson, and I want this run game that is just continue to flourish, to dominate in what's expected to be a very rainy Seattle up in against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm just flabbergasted that Tutu isn't going to step into that role. I mean, he had a catch last week, so that's very exciting.
You said it was a nice catch, and now you're acting like
it was. It was a very nice catch. Singular. It was good.
That was the catch of the game for Tutu. Okay,
it was. By definition, it was the catch of the game because it was the only catch of the game. I think what you said is right, and I think this is why this is exciting. Look, this happens in sports all the time, right? Where a guy that is incredibly important to what you do is unavailable because of injury. That's the case with Davante Adams. And the person that gets an opportunity to step into that vacated spot really delivers in a meaningful way. I think that's what Mumfield has a chance to do. And I think that it's a real chance as opposed to just a, hey, anything could happen kind of chance because of what you said. Sean McVay and the Rams have this unbelievable culture that has allowed people to get better and better and better and better, that when they do get a chance to go in there, they thrive. We've seen it so many times. Look at what's happening out at right tackle with Warren McClendon, right? Warren McClendon was somebody that nobody was saying, oh, you got to put him in. It's like, hey, we got to put him out there because Havenstein is struggling. He's hurt. And all of a sudden, it's like, we don't even talk about it anymore. The same thing happened out at left tackle with Alaric Jackson. We see with Omar Speights at middle line, like these guys that you just really are not thinking about all that much, get these opportunities. And then the next thing you know, it's just their job because they're holding it down in a real way. So hopefully Mumfield can kind of slide into that role. It's a testament to the coaching staff that they've been able to kind of build an environment where guys can thrive like that. But, hopefully Mumfield picks up the slack. Davante Adams is probably going to the Hall of Fame. So you're not going to be Davante Adams, but all you need to be is a guy that can be open occasionally because for all the reasons the tight ends, the running backs, Puka, of course, they still have plenty of weapons that you can use. You just need to be one of those weapons.
Absolutely. That's the key. Just find a way to help this team any way you can, and you're helping this team in a massive way. But coming up next, we are doing some winners and losers. We'll talk some more about the Seahawks matchup. By the way, I don't know if Travis has seen the Seahawks uniforms they're going to be rocking. They're pretty wild. We'll get into that. Right. And the Rams quarterback plans for 2026. A little wrinkle there. We'll talk about that. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
NFL Sundays, they move fast, and we're running out of them, right? One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so incredibly exciting because you're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it, and you're reacting to it in real time. Because with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action is actually unfolding on every drive, every momentum swing, on every highlight moment, like that incredible Tutu Atwell catch, right? Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after that big turnover. FanDuel, boom, lets you jump in right into the moment. Live spreads and money lines, they adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and more because it's keeping you locked into every single snap, every single drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, big shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. And if you are not a member of that Everyday Listeners Club, now's the time to join. Where you watch every single episode, you listen to every single episode, or you do both, and you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. All right, Travis, before we get into some winners and losers, the Seahawks are breaking out their Nike special rivalry edition. I'm getting big Oregon vibes from these. I don't know if you've seen them. You got some interesting pattern stuff happening. I will say the helmet is kind of a banger. It's got this kind of two-tone iridescent helmet situation. While you get a look of it, though, I want to tell you, though, the Rams, their midnight mode, dark navy, black, whatever you say, Rams uniforms that they broke out earlier this year. I was trying to cop one. I was trying to get a Stafford. I was trying to get a Puka Nacua. Sold out every single size, every single store. The only one you can get is the customized one, right? Where you pay to get it customized. I don't do that. Like I can say I don't play for. I'm not going to get like a McCain one, right? Like I don't. For me, I'm like players only and whatever your thoughts are. But I'm not going. Oh, McCain, a Rams fan #1, McCain, Doug McCain, like D-Max. Right? I don't know where you know what I'm talking about. Like you pay extra. You have to pay extra. Then the jersey actually costs like $30 to get your name on the back. It's like, bro, like I'm not in on that.
No, I'm with you. I'm surprised there wasn't a surplus of tutus available, but that's a topic for another day. No,
wow.
Look, if you want to wear a jersey, it's got to be your favorite player, or it's got to be of your favorite all-time player. The personalized, #1 Rams fan or Dodger for life over the number 69 that you see is like it's just or now I guess it would probably be 6'7" would be the one that is flying off the shelves. I like the classics. I like my Ohtani jersey. I like my Freddie Freeman jersey, my Puka jersey. I'll go with the classics. I just got a peek at those Seahawks ones. Not bad.
I mean, first, don't you get massive Oregon vibes from those?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Oregon was like going to wear those or something, and they're like, "Hey, did anyone make the Seahawks ones? Oh, what? Give them Oregon's from 2015."
Yeah, they look like that, and I like that kind of that matte finish on the helmet. That's pretty badass.
I think the helmet's kind of the best part, but I also, kind of the big point I was trying to make, honestly, was the fact that we've talked about jersey sales and things like that. The fact that the Rams have a hit with their jersey. I think that bodes well. It speaks a lot.
I understand that I'm in the minority here. I understand it. And I'm not even saying that I'm right. I'm just saying this is how I feel. I don't like black jerseys unless black is part of your color palette. Like the Raiders can have black jerseys. The Ravens can have black jerseys. I understand that. But I also understand that they sell like crazy. If you put out a black jersey version, you're going to sell them as fast as you can stitch them together. So I understand what they're doing. They're just not for me. Apparently,
like the darkest version of navy, apparently, but I agree. They appeared to look black for sure. They went super dark on, but good for the Rams. It's not that horn thing. I don't know if we talked about on the show yet, but the rumors that they're switching on all of them.
Yeah.
Before we get into the winners and losers, Arch Manning is going back to Texas for his senior year. And the reason it's worth discussing on a Rams podcast is when the second the Rams traded out of the first round and traded their pick to the Atlanta Falcons, they'll go up and get Pierce. Pierce, by the way, has been a bust for them. And the Rams had multiple first-round picks now for 2026. There was a lot of people saying the writing is on the wall. The Rams are making a run at Arch Manning and this and that. Even we talked about on this show that if he was special, he's the kind of guy that you would trade up for. Has the name, the pedigree, the upside. Didn't have the season that he had hoped for at Texas. Finished strong. Definitely showed those flashes. Think, hey, doesn't need the money. He's making a ton of money at NIL. He is the Manning. There were some jokes during the season that he was adopted and he wasn't a Manning and this and that when he was at his low. But it certainly is a Rams adjacent topic because for a long time you saw the Photoshops and Les Snead going down to Texas and kind of visiting with them. There's all those little connections there. But thoughts on that?
Let me start here. If the Rams end up getting Arch Manning because they love Arch Manning, great. I'll get on board the very same day and say, let's go Sean McVay, let's go Les Snead, let's go Arch, and let's go have the next great era of Rams quarterback play, right? Let's do it. Let me move on from that. He couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers. He's looked awful for good chunks of this season, right? Like I have not seen anything that leads me to believe that he is the next great NFL quarterback. If his name was Arch Miller and not Arch Manning, we would not be having any of these conversations. It just isn't there. Now again, I've said this before, our everydayers know, I'm not a football scout. I don't know, but I've watched a ton of football over 40 plus years, closing in on 50 years. And sometimes guys just jump off the screen at you like, that dude's a pro. Like that's a pro player playing in college right now. I've never gotten that feeling from that guy. Doesn't mean he won't be a good pro. When you watch Matthew Stafford at Georgia, you're like, oh, that's a pro. You watch Andrew Luck, pro. Justin Herbert, pro. You just watch Carson Palmer, pro. You just watch some of these guys, and it's
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff was a pro. Like it was very obvious. I don't see it with Arch Manning. Again, maybe I'm just not seeing it, but when you can't beat out a guy that the NFL says not interested in, and then you have come back the next year and everybody's hyping you to high heaven. And I think that's a little unfair to the kid in the first place because he hadn't really played very much. But you come out and you are clearly finding your way. You are learning the position. You're learning how to play at the college level. You're struggling. You're right, Doug. He was much better at the end than he was at the beginning. Give him a ton of credit for that because it shows he's doing the work. It shows he's studying. It shows he's trying to improve. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that. But sometimes just the blink test gives you the real answer. And when I watch him play, I'm like, I just don't see it. And I really don't see it to where you would spend a ton of your draft capital to move up and try to get him. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think the potential is certainly tantalizing with the ability to run the football. And Les Snead has kind of showed his cards on that, calling it a cheat code, the ability to use your legs. But to use your legs at the pro level consistently, you have to be a special runner of the football, the Lamar Jackson types, the Michael Vick type. So unless you're that, you better be a really good thrower of the football. And I don't think he's that. He's just inaccurate at times. I mean, look, I think he still has room to grow. I wouldn't rule out him being a solid to great pro quarterback at some point, but there's still a lot of work to do. And really, there's no quarterback that I look at that you say, oh, this is worth going those 2 first-round picks and not trying to have Matthew Stafford back. And I think you look at right now, it's funny. The very last Pac-12 game in the history, I don't know if you saw this, was UCLA-Cal. Cal destroyed UCLA 33-7. It was in November of 2023. You know who the starting quarterbacks of that game were?
Hit me.
Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. And those are likely going to be the top 2 quarterbacks selected in the 2025 draft. Bring the Pac-12 back. That's all I got to say.
I'm here for the Pac-12 revival. I will lead the charge up the hill. I would love to see it again. But look, Fernando Mendoza had a great season. Fernando Mendoza is a worthy Heisman Trophy winner. He was the best player on the best team. I understand that. I'm good. I don't need him. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to quarterback play moving forward, we'll see what happens if Matthew Stafford wins the MVP, if the Rams win a Super Bowl, if they get knocked out early in the playoffs, if he, all of the variables that will determine whether or not Matthew Stafford wants to come back. But you've heard me say this, the everydayers have heard me say this. Matthew Stafford has an open invitation to quarterback this team for as long as he would like to play quarterback. I think he's shown that he still loves to play, that he can still play at a very high level. And especially with this draft coming up, there isn't anybody that jumps off the page at you. Run back number 9 for another season, if not longer.
That's the number one priority. I mean, he's kind of got that Supreme Court judge status.
Yeah.
Like you can have this job as long as you want it. But, I mean, I did a solo episode last week that kind of popped off with Joe Burrow because of what he said and how unhappy he was in Cincinnati. The only path to Joe Burrow is an elite all-time finish of this season, I think, for Stafford, MVP, Super Bowl, and then he thinks, okay, this is the time to ride from the sunset, and then maybe you can make a run at Joe Burrow. But, your quick thoughts on Joe Burrow.
Well, I mean, if you could get your hands on Joe Burrow, hell yeah. I mean, there's another one that's like, oh, pro, I'll take him. Like, it's very obvious that he's a great player. This thing I keep coming back, if he wants out of Cincinnati, he's going to have to Carson Palmer it and basically quit and then sit on ice for a while. Because why would they ever trade him? They have him under contract for a while. They don't have to do it. And the Bengals have shown that they don't really care in any meaningful way. Like they let Carson Palmer sit on the sidelines for a long time before they finally dealt him to the Raiders. And Palmer did quit. I quit. I don't mean that in a bad. He's like, I don't want to play for you anymore. I'd rather not play than play for you. And he missed a decent chunk of time. So I don't know if Joe Burrow's up for that. I don't know if an off season of not getting his head pounded in will make him feel a little bit better. But if there's a path to Joe Burrow, I'm in on that. That's the one guy right now that you would go to Matthew Stafford and say, look, we love you. Thank you for everything. We cannot wait to go to your Hall of Fame party. But Joe Burrow's coming. Good luck.
That's the thing about Joe Burrow is you can visualize him in the Rams uniform. He feels like a Rams. He's a needle mover. He's a needle mover from hey, the Rams they're already relevant, but they have a star in his prime again and that kind of thing like that. They have failed him. Though just the reason why it really stood out to me was he said that football is not fun anymore. And we know what happened with Baker Mayfield and Sean McVay and how he said that he revitalized his love for football. I feel like, you imagine just what Sean McVay would do for Joe Burrow. I mean, it would be pretty wild. I mean, it's crazy to think about. But we're happy with Matthew Stafford. Don't worry. Don't freak out, everyone. But coming next, we got some winners and losers. We'll hit that. And that's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
Ever feel like your money just kind of disappears every month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances, because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying for, helps you clean them up quickly. Seeing all your spending on one dashboard makes it easier to understand where your money's going. And having the app find good times to save each month keeps you consistent with your financial goals, right? Bill alerts, spending notifications to help you catch small things before they turn into big expenses. So take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so we're going to stretch this one out for a couple episodes, but we'll start with a winner. And I have been seeing in the comments, D-Mac, take the L on Colby Parkinson. You were calling him a bust last year. There's not one human being on this planet that's more happy about him not being a bust than myself. I told you I picked him up on fantasy. He helped me win and make it to my Final Four. I am the biggest Colby Parkinson fan. I could not be happier about his success. And mainly my number one thing is what he does for the real Rams team, the actual physical. You can touch them and they actually play football. That Rams team, 5 of 7 targets he caught for 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been incredible for the Rams. I know they scored on this play after the St. Brown touchdown, but how about his effort after the Aiden Hutchinson interception to tackle him? So I love me some Colby Parkinson.
Okay, so here's something I think that you, me, and Rams fans need to keep in mind the next time a tight end comes in. This is something to keep in mind when we talk about Terrence Ferguson for next season and even beyond that. Tight ends, when they come to the Los Angeles Rams under Sean McVay, develop slowly. It takes a minute for them to kind of understand what it is that they're being asked to do, understand the offense in a comprehensive way before they can really start to show what the best version of this. Colby Parkinson came in last year, Doug, and it was like they didn't even use him. And when they would use him, he was a non-factor. He's been terrific this year. I think that Tyler Higbee's injury allowed him to slide into a role that he's a little bit more comfortable with, but he has been a beast. He has played hard. He has caught touchdowns. Davis Allen, from where he was to where he is now, he is a much better football player than he was when he first got here. Terrence Ferguson, where he is now, where he was at the beginning of the year, has improved in a real noticeable way. I think that's the arc of what tight ends are going to be. Quarterbacks, they show up and they kill it. Wide receivers, they show up and they kill it. And in running backs, if you got game, you can show up and you can make an impact really quickly. Tight ends take some time to develop, and Parkinson's the latest example.
And his measurables are so special. I mean, I'm going to do that thing where now I overly praise him to try to make up for it, but I'm going to call him majestic. Like, the dude's like he's 6'7".
Huge.
He can run and he can catch. He can break tackles. He's physical. And yes, I think it's pretty funny how these Detroit Lions fans are like, that wasn't a touchdown. That wasn't a touchdown. Oh, yes, it wasn't a touchdown. Bro, that helped you. You got the ball back faster to try to make that comeback. If they don't get in, they probably run the football a couple of times, take about a minute, 2 minutes off the clock. And I get it. Like, the fan of me was like, no, we could have cost a fumble and ran it back 99 yards. I get that. But the truth is, I mean, in reality, it probably helped them a little bit.
First of all, there's no chance the Rams would have run it. This is the Rams we're talking about. They would have tried to throw it 3 times from the 1 yard line because that's just what they do. But look, I'm not going to say never, but it's rare where you're going to hear me talk about efficiency. Sometimes you get one, sometimes you don't. The Rams might have gotten one right there, but to your point, from first and goal from the this much, they're going in anyway. It didn't really matter all that much. So Lions lost. Deal with it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, true story. Like, I was watching the game with my mom, and when they rolled a touchdown, like I like collapsed to the floor, like I was crying for like 2 minutes because I needed that so badly. And she was like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "You don't get it. Like, this means everything to me." So I love me some Colby Parkinson. He's my Tutu Atwell. Okay, I mean, no, but I love me some Colby Parkinson. Favorite player, the GOAT tight end, no doubt about it. But that's good. And we were going to end on a positive note. We'll stick to the loser tomorrow. And the loser tomorrow that we'll start with is tackling in general. Not even a person, but tackling in general. Got some numbers that cooked up on the Rams tackling. That's something that need to be corrected very quickly. But we'll hit that tomorrow. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And you can follow the People Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, and catch him on his radio show, DeMarco and Travis, on ESPN LA 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. Drive time, call in, and give a shout out to Locked On Rams. Whoever did that, good advertisement for us. Appreciate that. That's going to do it. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.